Hey, and welcome back to Soul Podcasting, the place where purpose meets podcasting and content creation becomes less about hustle and more about alignment. I'm your host, Demetria, podcast coach, strategist, and founder of the Soul Podcasting Collective. And around here, we help visionary creatives launch, grow, and evolve soulful podcasts that reflect their mission and not just their marketing goals. So today, I'm talking to the podcaster who is tired, not because you're unmotivated or you're unorganized, but really because you've been doing everything: editing, posting, promoting, batching. You've been burning out, right? And still feeling like your show is stuck in the same place. If that sounds familiar, then just know that this episode is for you. It's a short show, but I'm hoping to give you ideas that can help you continue along your podcasting journey. So if you're feeling like your show's taking everything from you, but not giving you the results or the reach that you're craving, this one's for you. You might not need to quit your show, right? You might just need to shift how you're running your show. So I'm sharing 3 strategic moves to help you go from feeling swamped to feeling in control without having to sacrifice your soul or your sanity. So before we start though, I do want to offer my Launch Confidently podcasting checklist, especially if you're feeling stuck in your podcast flow. This is your moment to reset. So my checklist is not just for new podcasters. I do enjoy helping new podcasters because after all, when you're brand new at something, that's when you need the most help, right? But I do think that even as a seasoned podcaster, this guide can help you by allowing you to go back to your roots and to ask yourself the foundational questions that maybe you haven't thought about in a couple of months or years. So this guide walks you through the foundational pieces that every podcast needs, whether you're launching fresh or trying to realign your current show. You'll get clarity on your structure, your messaging, and how to create a show that actually supports your business or your brand. So I'm going to leave the link for that in the show notes, and you can go download it after today's episode. All right, let's get into it. So these are 3 practical, no fluff moves to help you regain control and elevate your podcast without adding more to your plate. I'll tell you the honest truth. Most podcasters are doing way too much in their episodes. So I am guilty as charged. So I have a bit of an excuse, and I'm going to share why I think it really all depends on what makes you happy, what lights your fire. Okay. So I'm just going to say right now that you don't need multiple segments. You don't need long intros, extended teaching points, or bonus content every single week. You really just need clarity. The more complicated your format is, the more exhausting it can become to maintain your show, and the harder it can be for listeners to truly engage with you. The caveat is, if you absolutely love having multiple segments, if your long intro is doing well for you and for your listener, if your bonus content is exactly what you need to be offering every single episode, then do that, right? So I just want you to ask yourself these questions just to make sure your show is aligned with where you're going and what you're trying to do. Ask yourself, is every segment actually serving a purpose? So if you're having a segment that is not providing the answers and solutions that you're trying to provide on your show, if it's just a little extra fun, it's okay if that is what your listeners want and if that is what you want to do. But ask yourself that question, because it's going to cause you to really dive deeply into reflection on what is working on your show and what's not. And maybe there are a few things you could cut out of your show altogether. So ask yourself that, and then ask, am I including things out of obligation or out of habit? You know, some habits are good habits and some are bad habits. So we want to see if something we're doing every week is just something that we could cut out altogether. Or if we're feeling obligated to, why are we feeling that way? And just really reflect on the whys of what you're doing. And then lastly, ask yourself, could I say what I'm trying to say more clearly in less time? Maybe you could get straight to the point, or maybe you want to say it in a way that is more clear to your audience. You can still say what you need to say in a way that your audience hears you, understands what you're trying to say, but you're just more effective because instead of taking 10 minutes to say it, you just said it in a minute. So think about how you're presenting your content. Some simplification that you could do could look like cutting down a 90-second intro to 30 seconds. You could work on just shortening some of your segments and starting with your intro to see how that works out for you. You could skip a quote of the week that no one really remembers or cares. But if they do care, if it's something that is encouraging and something that you offer on your show that is a part of your goals and your vision for the show, then don't cut it out. But this is just some ideas of what you could be looking for to trim down your segments. You could also let go of the whole idea of segments altogether and just focus on one strong takeaway. You could do one huge episode of just giving your content, just talking, just sharing your heart with a takeaway at the end, no segments included. And most of you who have been listening to the show for a while know that I thrive on segments. I love having a segment for my intro with my music, and I love having the main content, and then I get into my statistic of the week for podcasting, and then I end it, with a CTA. So that is my format, and it's the way I like to segment my shows. But it flows for me. I enjoy it, and I've gotten some positive feedback about it, so I think I'll keep doing that. But if you're finding that some of your segments are not working for you, it's too cumbersome, there's too much going on, never be afraid to simplify and cut out what is not needed. So we're going to talk again about batching, because although I definitely encourage you to batch your content, it's not something everybody needs to do. Only batch if it works for your scheduling. But if you are batching, let's talk about not batching for perfection. Because I know you've heard it a million times. Just batch your episodes. Just get it all done in one fell swoop. I say it all the time on this show. But here's the thing no one is telling you. Batching doesn't really work that well when you're in survival mode. So if your idea of batching is trying to crank out 6 episodes in a weekend while you're already exhausted, that's not batching. That's burnout waiting to happen. What you need is a lighter and more intentional approach. So one that really honors your capacity and your creativity. So the way I suggest you do it is start by outlining 2 episodes at a time around a single theme. So 2 episodes, 1 theme, record them back to back in one sitting, no pressure. You don't have to be perfect at this. And then use 1 block of time for scripting and another for recording. Stop trying to do both in one breath unless that is what works for your workflow, for your brain, and for the way your creativity is best expressed. So some of us, we all work differently. Some of us are more about getting it all done at one time before moving on to the next thing. And maybe that is what you want to do. So again, this is all about podcasting freedom, right? We are not here to tell each other how to do our workflows and how to do things the way that works for us, but we're here to hopefully inspire and encourage you and free you to do things the way that works best for you. And really, I'm just here to give you ideas and to encourage you to do what works for you with your personality, with your space in life and your ideas, right? This is all about you and what you need for your show. But the idea of doing 2 at a time can really be helpful for some of us who are a little bit overboard and would love to try to do 6 or knock 8 or 10 out of the way and then end up stressing ourselves out. So just start by batching 2 and see how that goes. You can also pre-plan all of your calls to action so they don't feel rushed or tacked on. You can already know exactly what you're going to say. So batching isn't just about saving yourself time. It's about creating breathing room for you so you're not scrambling every single week wondering what to say or whether your content even connects with your audience or even connects with the workflow that you have and what you're trying to do in your business or on your podcast in general. So knowing your vision, knowing what you have planned next for your show is going to help you with how you plan your content. And once you've got your 2 solid episodes batch, you're already 90% ahead of the game, and you're way ahead of many other podcasters who might still be overwhelmed, unfortunately. So just holding on to the idea that having a small handful of episodes ready to go, and that's 2, could even be something that is meaningful to you, knowing that you've got 2 already batched, recorded, and ready to go, And at any given time, you're just 2 episodes ahead already. So that can be something to help also psychologically with knowing that you're not falling behind in your own scheduling and how you want to record your shows. All right, so let's talk about creating an elevation plan. This is where it gets real. You can't keep creating random episodes with no clear direction and expect long-term growth. Now, if you want your podcast to work for you and to build visibility and trust and brand authority, you need a plan that points your show toward a clear outcome. I call this your soul elevation plan, or your elevation plan in general. To me, I consider this a 90-day roadmap because I like to work in groups of 3s or in quarters. So a 90-day roadmap that aligns your content with your bigger goals can help you to really think clearly about where you're going. So ask yourself, what's my priority right now? Do I want visibility? Do I prefer engagement? Am I going for lead generation, or am I really trying to hit that revenue? Or maybe a combination of any of these or all 4 of these. Then ask yourself, what kinds of episodes should I create that support that goal? And then what's the message that I want to become known for, right? What do you want to be known for? So that's what you are putting your energy into, what you want your show to be known for, in other words, and how you want your show to impact your audience. So build your next 6 to 8 or so episodes around that focus. An example is if you're trying to grow your visibility, then you'll create episodes that position you as a thought leader. You're going to share stories. You're going to include some case studies. You'll speak boldly to your audience. And if you're launching a service or an offer, you're going to align your episodes to the core pain points that offer solves and lead your listeners there intentionally. So when you podcast with a plan, even just a loose plan, it doesn't have to be all set in stone. It doesn't have to be a 90-day plan strategically for every single week set in stone. Like, you don't have to have it all in stone. You just have a general idea, a loose idea of where you're going. Your content then becomes more magnetic because it's going to not only connect with your audience, but you're going to start converting. You'll see some conversions. You'll see some loyalty building, because this is all rooted in strategy and not just survival mode. So I want to help you get out of this idea of surviving your podcast and get you into using your show to create connection, conversion, and loyalty with your audience. All right. And if all of this is hitting home with you and you're thinking, okay, I need to stop winging this so bad, what I have for you is I'm offering free coffee chats. And so every episode I share how I'm offering either an audit or editing or coaching, and I do all of these. But I just want to take some time and offer you a free 20-minute discovery style call where we can take a look at where you are with your podcast, where you want to go, and how I and my team can help you get there with more clarity and ease and strategy. So this is no pressure. This is not going to be a sales pitch. This is just going to be a real conversation about your next move as a podcaster. And if you're ready to shift gears and build something sustainable and aligned, you can book a free chat with me. The link is in the show notes, and I would love to meet you and hear your vision for your show. So let's recap. You don't need to quit your podcast. You just need to simplify your format. All right. Also, you don't need a content factory. You need a batching system that fits your life. You don't necessarily need more ideas, but you do need an elevation plan that aligns with your goals. And if you're ready to stop running around in circles and start building something strategic and soul aligned, again, I am here for you. Grab that checklist, which is in the show notes, book a free coffee chat. That link is also in the show notes, and follow me at Soul Podcasting on Instagram. DM me Elevate if you're ready for your next level strategy. And until next time, my friend, I would love for you to stay aligned, stay soulful, and give yourself permission to grow with intention. Happy podcasting.